Hey everybody, it's Evan again, and listen, I wanted to share with you from our last video. We were going to take a survey on what's causing anxiety for people in work and how they're dealing with it, and the results are in, and in some ways they're not surprising, and we wanted to share them with you. At the end of the video, if you want to see the detailed notes from people's survey, just click the button and you can download it as well. But let me share with you, I try to put them into three categories of what's really causing people most of their anxiety. The first one we're talking about are things that are out of your control. And some of these are very obvious, but these were things like relying on someone else to get something done and they're not doing the work for you. Or you're giving deadlines that are impossible to meet. Or people refer to trying to get a job done, you just don't have the resources to get it done. So, you know, here you have this responsibility, but you're out of control of many of the parts of it, and clearly that's going to generate anxiety. You could understand that one. The second one that we saw a lot of was starting big projects. And that was an obvious one because sometimes it's hard to get started. Where do I start? The magnitude of the thing seems so big. You know, how do I get started on this thing? And that was a very common one, as well as once you're in the project, of the mind starting to go, oh my God, look how much more I have to do. And so starting and being involved in big projects is a big anxiety producer for people. And the last one is probably the most obvious, is presentation. Some people are really good at presentations and they still get anxiety at it, and a lot of people just don't feel that comfortable. Now what's interesting, two of the other factors fit in, because when you're doing a presentation, the thing you have no control over is how it's going to be received by the people who are receiving it. So those two together, just being out there in public, not having control how people will react to it. And the third part of that one is vulnerability. It's a vulnerable thing to put yourself out there. So these were three of the key things that created so much anxiety. So we wanted to share with you also because people told us some good things about what they do to deal with the anxiety. The first one relates to, interesting enough, what I shared in the last video, and that was tell somebody, find a buddy, tell them. And what is important about this is the more research we do is, like, a lot, if not everyone, is experiencing anxiety in the workplace. And so when you tell someone how you're feeling, one, it creates a bond with them, but also now you know you're not the only one. You may get some feedback from that. And again, I have found a lot of people do. Once you kind of say it out loud, it alleviates some of the pressure that you're feeling. The second one was, and it goes back to the big projects, one step at a time. It's really important with a big project or anything we're working on that's significant is to break it down into bite-sized chunks and then make a point to stay with that chunk. And when the mind starts to go, come back to that chunk. You know, one of the advice we thought, which I think is brilliant, is when you're feeling that way, to stop for a moment and think, imagine an hour or two from now, what would I have worked on right now that in an hour from two from now, I'd feel really good about the choice I made. It's a really good way to help you figure out what's that bite-sized chunk to pick on. And the last one is meditate, breathe, and pray. And we saw that in a lot of people. Clearly, in the moment of stress and anxiety, stopping to take a few minutes to breathe or to meditate can really reduce the level of anxiety. And if people who practice meditation or breathing techniques, even outside of that moment, when those moments come, better adapt to reacting to the moment. We tend to be much more calm and react better. And the same thing with the prayer one. For people who have a spiritual bent, the same thing. Being able to pray in the moment and also, you know, praying on a regular basis seems to help people be more ready to deal with situations. So this is what the research showed out. You know, the last thing is we also talked about songs. You know, what's your favorite feel-good song? And everybody responded with one. Again, you'll see the list of, we made a Spotify playlist that you can download. But clearly music is a really important ingredient for people in finding more calm and peace, you know, and finding those songs to listen to. So hopefully the playlist you see will, you'll see some songs you really like, and maybe it will motivate you to find some other songs and remind yourself to use music. So one last thing, we want to come over here because we promised we were going to do a drawing from all the people that came into this. We promised that we would do a drawing and see who was going to win 3 copies of, well, 3 different people were going to win copies of Feel the Love book. So I'm going to go in here. You can see this is totally random. The first person is Jeff P. So Jeff P is one of our winners. The next one is Kendall. And the third one is Alicia. So we want to thank Alicia, everybody who responded, but let's give a round of applause for Alicia, Jeff, and Kendall, who will get your copy of Feel the Love signed and in the mail. So please download, hit the button below, and you'll really see the details and more of what people responded to the survey. And keep your eye out. We're going to share some more information in the next week and coming up about more tools and resources to help people who are experiencing anxiety, because the more research we do, it's really incredible how many of us really do experience anxiety and stress in the workplace and in life. See you soon.